So I was on vacation this week from classes, and luckily SM was up, so I decided to hop on and play it. This isn't one of my other SM videos where I put in tips on double ticking and pot syncing, and then inventory swaps and Central City trinket tips and tricks. If you want any of that type of info, I definitely have other survival mode videos of me controlling and other trolling tip videos that you can watch. If you have questions, I'll answer them, and I could even link them to you if there's something specifically you want to see. But this is just me and my league running. I think it's round 12 and getting our pets for the year, whatever. What I really wanted to talk about is Stats Revamp. Now, I'm not able to actually make video footage of Stats Revamp because I have Share Factory. This is on PlayStation. I can't make videos of anything that I do on my testing PC. So that's the reason why I haven't really uploaded anything in regards to just Stats Revamp. But this is some of the things that's right now that I've worked with gadgets. I did go into extensive testing with gadgets controlling months ago. The last week or two, maybe the last 3 weeks before it was taken down for the Star event, I didn't do any controlling testing or battery or any of that of the controller roll. But in terms of the auto pot, I know some players are saying by power over time being automatic now that you're going to have more stuff to do, and that's incorrect. I mean, it's okay for you to make that assumption, but the thing is, one of the things that you're probably thinking is, okay, well, what else are controllers going to do? Crowd control. But the problem there is NPC breakout profiles. Controlling on test server is nerfed from what it is on live, and by that I mean it's the duration of time that you can control a target. It's now a set time. Your dominance, nothing in your stats will increase the amount of time that you control an NPC. Each specific power, depending on the type of power, will control it for either 500 milliseconds, some will do it for 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds. I think even the ones associated with stealth are 12, but they are now set durations, and that's not really a good thing in terms of you using your stats to buff up what you can do, which is, in my opinion, kind of goes against the whole stats revamp type of deal, where making your stats matter, because in this case it does not. Your stats will do nothing in terms of how long you can control a target. In fact, they don't do anything in terms of some of the requests of making your debuff potencies increase. It doesn't do any of that. Power healing, your power out from your power over time and your instant power heal, that's based on your vitalization, yeah, but your self power regen, your personal one, is based on the power pool. And I mean, that of course you can increase, and so can your vite for power out for the team. But don't think that just because power over time is automatic that you are going to be able to do other things. The only other thing that you could possibly do is more damage. And now a damage rotation and control roll, it is possible you can do that, but you have to remember that your priority is to power heal and to make sure that teammates have power. And in the past, and currently now in live, it's to make sure power over time is up. With it being automatic, you don't have to worry about that. Your next thing to do and look at is your power return supercharges, which are now over time, they're no longer burst power heals, which is not practical. And then your instant power heal. Now, from last I heard, I didn't get a chance to test this. This was right before it went down. They gave you a larger chunk of power from your instant power heals. If that's true, that's actually a good thing. But I still have to run numbers on how much, and then of course the cooldown I think now is 1.5 seconds or something like that. So I still have to do testing on that end. But in terms of overall power healing, it has to be made so that it's practical for really difficult content when players need power right away. And I'm not really a fan of power return being from the supercharges over time. I prefer it be burst. It's just the controlling aspect does need work, and the developers did say that they will put more time into that towards the end. So I'm just gonna hold them to their word on that. As to whether or not they are successful, we'll see. I have my doubts. Some things they do listen to and some things they don't, because some things are associated with damage, and this is the other thing that I've gone with gadgets. Right now, gadgets does not play smoothly on test. I've tried different rotations. I do like some of the changes. It does require you to alter powers and throw in certain things depending on what you're doing, your range and all that. If you played gadgets a long time ago, years ago, Cryo Field was always your best DOT because it did the same damage range as Cryo Foam, except it was melee. So if you were a melee DPS, that's something that you wanted. Cryo Foam in general was a good dot. It's far range, obviously, but right now on test server, if that was to go live as is, you'd want something like Cryo Field in your loadout. The DOT from it is, the damage is really good. I haven't compared it to other power sets DOTs because nobody's giving me that information. Nobody's posting that. I don't even know if people know how to do that, despite me posting how to do it on my thread. But Cryo Field is going to be one of the powers you're going to want to play around with. It is the damage that's going to be going on in the background while you do other offensive, aggressive attacks. The DOTs are rapid, and again, the base damage on each tick is pretty high. Then, of course, there's the web of PI interactions. The other thing, too, right now I was looking at EMP and Implosion Mind. And if you look at what I put on the forums, you'll see specific details as to why one is superior over to the other, and you'll see why one is weaker than the other, because obviously crowd control, range, and all that. In my opinion, crowd control shouldn't even be one of the criteria used to determine balance on the power, because in raids and alerts, there's dominance values, and you're not going to be able to control those targets depending, not depending, but you're not going to be able to control those targets at all in DPS roles, so that's a bit silly. The only thing it's going to work on is solo content and duo content, and NPCs with no willpower or low willpower. So that wasn't really a good idea. I mean, I could see the argument for it, but it's just, I mean, reality of it, people running raids, it's just, no, it doesn't fit in, and it's not going to work that way. This is one of the things now that I want to get back to, aside from you using Cryo Field. Stealth, sure, to expand your loadout in terms of using a supercharge like Bunker Buster, something like Stealth. Bunker Buster needs work. We already have 2 damage over time supercharges in gadgets. There's Asphyxiation Gas, which is weak and has less DOT ticks, but Bunker Buster has longer DOT ticks. And again, damage over time supercharge. You don't need 2 of them. You compare the damage of Bunker Busters to something like a pet supercharge, and my best bet is nobody's really posted numbers on that because nobody's compared it to it. It's kind of hard since nobody's really enforcing something like, okay, let's have this amount of might, this CR, so and so, and whatever, this power pool size, and just compare our damage and whatever. I mean, obviously there's going to be some minor differences. You're going to see some things that are not going to line up, but you want to get a general idea. And to be honest, I would prefer if Bunker Buster remained a burst attack with a minor DOT, or at least something different. I mean, there has to be more testing done on the pet supercharges in order to really compare them with gadgets supercharges and definitively say where can we improve gadgets to get it on the same level as those supercharges, the pet type. Now keep in mind too, because the argument could be made, they're pet type of supercharges. It's an entirely different way of delivering damage, and I understand, but you still need some type of balance in order to bring it up to that level. The other thing now that I'm really leaning forward to this, not looking forward to this, because I don't know if they're going to do it. I haven't requested it. Is that I really think the developers need to add some type of might proc ability. Sure, you have battle display. It is a precision buff for your weapon attacks, but you need something like a proc ability. A proc is a random procedure of yellow damage. And on live, that's intimidation, and your precision or your might damage will trigger it. If you have something like that, an offensive self-buff power that you can use that clips, so if you use Cryo Field and then you use this self-buff might proc ability, they work well together. One, because you're clipping cryo field, at the same time you're clipping it with a power that's not like distract. You could use distract to somewhat speed you up or give you the illusion that you're speeding up, but distract is not an offensive ability. It's not giving you any damage on your enemy. That the self buff power that I'm talking about, the proc, something similar to intimidation, it's clipping your cryo field. It is speeding you up, but at the same time you're also activating another offensive power. You're activating something that as you're doing weapon attacks or as you're throwing powers, you have a chance to activate a might burst damage, a might proc. That's what I think gadgets really needs to make it go smoother. Now going forward, if I have the time and you know, everything goes into place, I'll continue to test. But the thing is, I don't have as much time as I used to, and because of that, I kind of have to like pass the word on to certain people and hope that they get it and find examples so that they can then go out and basically say it for me. But in my opinion, just keep an eye out on some of the things that you are reading or seeing in videos in regards to gadgets, because some of the things too, some people are going on tests, they're throwing in a loadout, and then they're just going into content. Thing is, there are some bugs going on, and not just with gadgets but with other parasites in terms of splitting, damage that's being done, power costs, and some people are just not reporting it. Whether they're exploring it for themselves to say something or whatever, I don't know. Just remember, when you go on test and you're testing anything, you want to go on there and you want to test each power individually first, find out its weaknesses, its ranges and all that, damage, all that. Then you can start to complete the puzzle and you can paint an image as to which powers you're going to use and where. Earlier I mentioned, I think I said something about stealth and bunker buster. I think I said stealth twice. I meant to say surprise attack, and if you look at some of the damages surrounding surprise attack and all the other powers that you can use from within stealth, keep in mind surprise attack is single target. When you're building your loadout too, I mention it in my thread when I talk about base numbers and all that. Keep in mind when I say something is multi-target, because something that the developers are not picking up on, regardless of me telling them, is that we always base our damage, and we get an idea of our damage based on the scorecard and what's being registered on there, even though there's flaws with that logic, but still that's something that we use. And in order to adapt to, I don't want to say fools, but people who think that that's the end all be all measurement of damage, that's one of the things that we kind of have to adapt to when we're looking at our information. When I write down multi-target, keep in mind that whatever average I've given you, multiply it by 2, because that damage is being registered on the scorecard. If there's 2 targets, if there's 6 targets, it doesn't matter. Anything over 2, you're dealing 2 targets worth of damage on the scorecard. You're doing less damage to each individual target, but again, the total damage range is 2 targets worth on the board. Even when you're doing any boss fight or whatever, think of how many ads are in that boss fight, where the ads are located from, how many ads can you hit with a specific power in order to get that 2 targets worth of damage on the scorecard. That's another detail to throw in there. And with gadgets, we're kind of lucky. We have Implosion Mine, we have EMP, Gas Grenade, all these other powers. One of the things that I was kind of really looking for a long time is something that was a low cost power that was multi-target, and now we have that with Paralyzing Dart. Cryofoam and Cryofueled have the same damage range. I meant same damage range per tick. Cryofield always dealt more damage than Cryofoam because it was a longer DOT. It was 15 seconds with 15 dot ticks, but the damage range per tick was exactly the same. And then this one final bit I kind of want to end on here, and this is pure speculation, because I'm sitting here and I'm wondering why would all of a sudden they want to change everything, aside from some things just not working out, and of course Tunso leaving without balancing nature and electric and the DOT classes, or even the mid-range weapons and all that. And I don't know if you guys have looked up where Tunso's looking up now. I forgot the website that he's at, but they kind of give a summary of what he's done. And in that summary, it says that he has a patent, or at least 2 patents. One, I don't remember the second one, but the first one was Build a Buff patent. Now, I didn't research it, I don't know the full details of it, but when it says build a buff, the first thing that came to my head is something similar to like Gadgets and Mentals AM, where you have to use certain powers in order to get tagged, and then you get your big hitter. So whether it's related to something like that or anything else, I mean, I don't know. But obviously, as soon as Tunso left, it's like all these changes came in. I don't know if the patents that he has are making this game or forcing it to throw stuff out or whatever. Because, I mean, obviously his patents and whatever he built is still being used on live. So perhaps there's something in the background that's telling, maybe he had some type of agreement or something, conversation with DCUO to say, you know, you can't use it anymore or something, or maybe they just don't want to use it so they don't have to pay. I don't know, but it does suck that obviously all these changes have to happen now. There's some things I like and dislike with Gadgets AM, and sometimes I do wish that they kind of added weapon attacks in there. And I can't really speak much for all the other AMs because obviously I don't really play them. But that is one of the things that's like, it's kind of a, it's both a good thing if you got a lot of time. If you're not really doing anything with your life, or if you're just financially stable where you can just devote a lot of time to the game, then for a tester you have plenty of time to experiment with the game and something new. If, however, you're a college student or you're just really busy with work or whatever it is, you don't have that much time to devote to stuff like this, especially if you are a tester, it just makes things really difficult for you to kind of relearn a game. And I mean, of course, going forward, I'm going to try my best to research and test and all this, but there's only a certain amount of time that I can devote. And there are very few posters and testers that I would have to say that I can take their word as absolute gold, as something that I can be completely reliable on. And of course, throwing out a name here, we all, if you guys follow the forums, Penman's a really good guy to do that, and him and I do testing on Gadgets, and obviously he does testing a little bit more stuff, but we try to give everything that we have into testing Gadgets, and he has more time than I do, so that's really a big bonus for me, because whatever I'm falling back on, he'll kind of update me. And then of course, because me being me, I still go back and I still test everything individually by myself in order so I can see it. But it's usually always a good idea to have one or two people that you take your information and you compare it. One, to make sure that you both have the same thing. Two, to see if like maybe there's a mistake on one person's end. And then obviously to see if you both came to the same conclusion using different routes. So I'm not exactly sure when the next video is that I'm gonna make. I'm thinking probably something related to the Starro event, maybe something related to a feat or getting something done like I did with the anti-monitor feat. So until then, if you have questions or you need tips or whatever it is, there is my forums Gadgets thread you can check out, or you could just watch my videos. I mean, there's tons of stuff. I have not had a lot of time, but in the year that I've been active on YouTube making these videos, I've put out a lot of videos that and basically information that helped me over the years get better. And I haven't posted everything, mostly because I mean Stats Revamp is probably coming out maybe around the fall, so I don't see the point in making a video now, and then obviously it's not going to have a lasting appeal. So usually it's just it's nothing that I can just type out and then explain to you. So check out any video, anything related to the game that you have a question about, anything related to controlling Gadgets, you could definitely ask.